Struggling to paint realistic water in your oil paintings? Whether it's a calm lake, ocean waves, or gentle reflections, this beginner-friendly tutorial will show you how to create convincing water effects using simple brushwork and easy blending techniques. Perfect for new artists. We'll break down everything you need to know. No drawing skills required. Let's dive in and learn how to paint beautiful, believable water step by step. I like adding acrylic gesso to my canvas using a palette knife because it gives it a nice smooth finish. This is not required, but I like doing it because I like the smooth texture. But make sure you get it all off, and when it's dry, give it a light sanding and you're done. Now I'm putting this dark blue in according to my reference photo where I see the dark blue. That's what I'm doing. I'm just putting it in. Now these are the shadows of smaller waves and ripples and stuff like that are on this little pond here. And I'm not worried too much because it's just something that I'm putting in right now. And I can always move it around later. This is just paint. That's all we're doing is moving paint. So where I see the darkness on the photo, that's what I'm doing. That's it. You can do that. Now I'm using the titanium white and this light blue here to fill in the other spots of the waves or the ripples. Now this is the highlight of each ripple that's out on the water that I see. That dark blue is the shadow part of the wave or ripple. So that's one thing to remember. The light blue is like the smooth surface, and the dark blue is the shadow of that ripple or that wave. But I'm just putting these colors in there, and I'll blend it all later and see what we have, and we'll make changes accordingly. So I'm just looking at that reference image, and I'm just doing whatever I see. I mean, it might not look right, but in the end it will. Now I'm not adding any more paint. I'm just kind of blending what I already have on the canvas, and I'm doing some feathering. I don't want to do too much blending because I don't want to lose what I already have on there. So I'm just feathering the edges, the two colors together lightly. But you don't want to do too much because then it's going to turn muddy on you and you're going to lose what you already have. So just lightly feathering, that's all I'm doing. Some areas I blend, some areas I just feather. But it's part of the process, you know, you just keep going back and forth until you get it the way you want it. We'll get it. can see I keep making changes because I just want to get it just right, the way I want it. And every time I step back away from the painting, I see changes that I want to make. But you got to be real careful, because this is when you can start adding paint, and you can start adding too much paint and it starts getting muddy on you. So you got to be real careful. So I try to not add too much, but it happens where you just add too much. So when that happens, you either might have to just wipe it away, or walk away and pick it up on the next day and just let it dry a bit, and then you can start working on it again. Now I'm using this soft brush here, and I'm only using a few bristles and a little bit of air to lightly go over the canvas and soften everything up. I'm kind of feathering everything. I'm not blending anything, I'm just feathering. Just hypnotizing the canvas, that's all I'm doing. Now, I don't have a lot of paint on that canvas. It looks like I do, but I don't. I might have some extra paint down there, but that's not a problem. I mean, there's nothing wrong with having a lot of paint on the canvas. It just gets harder to work with, that's all. But it's better if you can keep it thin. Right now I'm just highlighting the light areas in the water. This is the reflection of the sky on the water surface. So that's all I'm doing, is highlighting that. I'm not trying to take away those dark areas. Those are shadows of waves, and I don't want to lose that. So I'm highlighting the flat areas of the water. And that's the sky color. So whatever your sky is going to be, that's the reflection you want in the water. I want to feather what I already put onto the canvas. So right now I'm cleaning off this brush tip so I can feather the surface. I got to make sure that there's no dark blue paint on that because I don't want to contaminate that white that I just put on the canvas. So I got to make sure the brush is nice and clean, and then I'm going to feather it. I'm going to lightly go over the canvas with a few bristles and a little bit of air. Just make sure that brush is clean. Not blending, just feathering. So you got to be real careful when you start going down into that dark blue. You don't want to bring that back up into the white area because you'll contaminate everything. Because that blue is still wet. Now when I start blending that dark into the white, I'm only blending the bottom of the darkness, not the top part of the dark, just the bottom part of that wave, the darkness. See, I'm just staying underneath the dark, just blending the dark into the white. I'm leaving the top of that wave crisp, sharp. See, I'm in between those two waves with the light. But you'll notice when I go underneath that darkness, I'm just blending the under part of that darkness into the white, not the top part of the wave. Just a little thought. Now just remember, there's two parts to each wave. There's your light part and your shadow part. Right now I'm putting in the shadow of the wave. The light parts I'll put in later. See, the reason why I keep changing my mind about these ripples here, the circle, is because I start off in my mind with a smaller bobber. I'm putting a bobber in the middle of these circles here, and I start off in my mind with a small bobber, and then as I keep painting and I keep seeing things, I decide I want to make the bobber bigger, and in turn I got to make the circle bigger. But it's okay because the paint's still wet. We're just moving paint around. You can see I'm having a hard time trying to get this circle right, this half circle part here. It's hard for me because I don't want to put my head in front of the camera and block the view. So I'm doing it on an angle. But that's okay. I mean, we're just moving paint around. That's all we're doing. So I'm just adding some white there to bring down that arch right there. Open up that circle. Just trying to balance everything out. Just trying to shape it, that's all. I'll worry about details and everything like that later. Just want to get that circle right. I'm picky. All right, it's time to start painting the grass. There's grass in this water here with reflections, so I'm going to put that in now. And I find it easier turning the canvas sideways. Now I'm using this liner brush here, and I thin down my paint so I can put this grass in. Now all this grass that I'm putting in is going to have a reflection in the water too, so this is the grass I'll put the reflections in later. But I'm having a problem. It's not thick enough, not the way I want it. I'm changing my brush to this one here. It has a little chiseled edge. It's going to give me the thickness that I want. See, that works good. The only problem is I put too much grass in. Put like way too much grass in the wrong color. I just do not like it. So it's time. Instead of trying to fix it, I'm just taking it out. All right, I'm going to show you how I fix a painting. Let's do this. All right, we're going to start off with a paper towel. All right, I'm going to start wiping off this green paint. Everything's sticky, everything's tacky right now because it's only it's like half dried. But I got to make sure I get all that excess green off. I do not want that green paint mixing in with any of my blues. So I want to get it all off. It's pretty much dry, but I just don't want to take any chances. That looks pretty good. Now what I'm going to be painting on here is going to be a base coat. So I'm just putting on some base colors right now, and then I'll start putting the detail in later. Just trying to cover up that grass. That's all I'm doing. Using titanium white in some of my blues. Now this is just the base coat, just to cover the grass. I'll let this dry a little bit, and then I'll put the details back in. That's it. See, the canvas is kind of half dry right now, so it's really tacky. So I have to thin my paints down with the walnut oil so it goes on nice and smooth. We want everything to flow. So I'm just randomly putting my colors on, and I'm going to start blending them out, feathering everything. Just putting them on, that's all I'm doing. Just trying to see what's happening here. Sometimes when you do all this kind of stuff, you start seeing things happen. So I'm adding my sky colors, the reflections in the water. Now all the darks that are in there are shadows of the waves. You don't want to lose those. You want to keep those. So I'm putting my sky in, keeping those dark shadows of the waves. But the more I keep working it, the canvas gets wetter and wetter. It just flows easier. There's more sky. I want to brighten up that area. Works easier when the canvas is nice and wet. See, I have all my colors in place now, and the canvas is getting nice and wet, so things are starting to flow. And they blend easier when the canvas is wet. So what I'm going to start doing is start adding all my different colors, my 3 colors, or 4 colors, and start adding them to the canvas where I see fit, and I just start blending. I'm using my walnut oil to thin everything down, but you don't want to put too much because then it starts getting too runny. So as long as everything's flowing, I just keep adding different colors. And now I'm adding my, I'm getting my mid-tones, my dark colors, my light colors. You don't want to lose those because that's what adds character. So you just start feathering everything out. You don't want to blend too much. You want to keep that detail that you're putting in, because that's how water is. And I like it when it's when the canvas is wet. Everything just flows like water. It just flows nice and easy, and it looks like water when you do it that way. Now, this mistake turned out pretty good. I think this looks better than what we had before. Sometimes mistakes work in your favor. I like that. That works. Yeah. Woo. All right, I finally have the right color mix. Now I'm just adjusting my pole here so I can rest my arm on it. Make steady lines. using that little liner brush of mine. And I thin down the oil. I thin down my paints with the walnut oil, so they go on nice and easy, nice and smooth. I decided to go with the smaller blade of grass than that fatter one. Now we're not going to see much of the grass. What we're going to really see is the reflection in the water. That's the main thing. So when I start putting the reflections in, that's what we're going to see. That's what counts. So that looks pretty good. I like that. I like the color, everything. That looks good. I like to test everything before I dive onto the canvas with a brush and paint. You know, what I'm doing is I'm using a liner brush here. I'm rolling it into my medium, my oil, and I rolled it into my paint, my color mix that I want. Now I'm going to test it on this piece of paper. I want to make sure the line's coming out smooth the way I want it. The brush is working right. I got the right colors. There's nothing wrong with that. You know, I test everything, whether it's my airbrush or acrylics or oil painting, whatever it is I'm doing, I always test just to make sure I'm doing it right. Because you don't want to test on the canvas and find out you made a mistake and then you got to try to fix it. So I like to test. Test. All right, I'm ready. Now I'm concentrating on the waves. The light color, I want the arch to go to the left, and the dark wave part of the wave, I want it the curve to go to the right. That's what I'm going to try to do, but I don't think I kind of like did it. But as long as I have the ripples, you know, the wiggle part down, it'll give the illusion of water, of reflections. Gets a little too confusing. Now I'm holding my breath when I do this. Keep my hand nice and steady. Not that I want to hold my breath. I keep checking the tip of my brush too. I want to make sure that I don't have a big blob of paint on the end of it before I touch the canvas, because if I do, I'm going to leave a big spot of paint, and I don't want that. So I have a piece of paper on that you can't see off camera there, and I'll always roll the tip on that piece of paper before I touch the canvas, because you don't want a big blob of paint on the canvas. Now you don't have to worry too much about perfection, because this is a reflection in the water, so you're going to have all those irregularities. It's not going to be as sharp as what's on top of the water. You kind of have the idea what I'm doing here now. I'm going to speed this up so you don't fall asleep on me. But it's something you got to watch each blade. Each blade has its own shadow. So that's what I'm looking at. And I have to follow the direction of that blade. So if that blade is leaning to the left, I want my shadow to lean to the left too. Now, even though the grass on top is a very small piece, the reflection's real long, because there's a lot of grass above the canvas that you can't see. So I'm kind of like filling in the grass with the shadow, you know, with the reflection in the water. A lot of that grass you don't see because it's off the canvas. All right, we're coming to the end now. You can start breathing again. Now that the grass and the reflections are done, I can start working on the bobber and the ripples going around the bobber. They're not even done yet. I just have them in there as a whatever. So now we can start working on the detail. Get the bobber in and put the ripples in, and we're done. So got some more work to do. We're getting there. the other waves, I'm doing the light part of the wave and the dark part, which is the shadow part. So the light part is the sky reflection, and the dark part is the shadow of the wave. Just like regular waves. Right now I'm not adding any more paint. I'm just softening everything. I'm just going over it with a clean, dry brush and just feathering all the edges together. Giving it that water look of softness. Even with that bar I rest my arm on, it's still hard to draw a straight line when I just drank a whole bunch of coffee. I'm struggling here. Just be patient. We'll get it eventually. no need to get frustrated or aggravated when things don't go according to plan, because that's what happens sometimes, or most of the times, when you're oil paintings. I mean, some people can do it in their first try. Others may do it in 2 or 3 tries. I might take 4 or 5. It just depends, you know. But the thing is learning how to be able to correct the mistake or the error. We don't call things mistakes. I mean, there's ways of fixing things and making the corrections to make it right. I mean, there's a whole bunch of ways of doing things, so you just do what you have to do to correct or change the situation. And so remember, it's not a problem to make changes. Everything doesn't go according to plan, usually. White on to indicate like a little splash of water coming up the side of the popper there. I didn't give the red time to really dry, so it blended with the red and turned everything pink, and I didn't want that. I want everything to be just right. So what I'm doing is wiping away the white, and I'm revealing the dry red that was underneath prior to the 2 coats of red that I've already put on. So there's some red there, which I wanted. I wanted a nice thin layer of white over the red, but it didn't work out that way. So I'm removing the white to reveal that redness of that popper, like coming through the water. So I'm using that paper towel to wipe off that white paint. There's another way of fixing a painting if you have to. I make a lot of them. appreciate you tuning in. If you'd like to discover more about this art piece, please visit Salty Air Artistry's website. Thanks once again for tuning in. And if you do like this video, please like and subscribe because it helps me create more painting content for you. I appreciate it. Thank you. Have a wonderful day.